The inspector quips back with, "Sometimes there isn't as much difference as you think. Often, if it was left to me, I wouldn't know where to draw the line." This creates an ominous tone and further suggests that the Burlings and Mr. Croft are somehow involved in the scandal surrounding Eva Smith's death. It also points out the fact that all of these people shirk their moral responsibility. This, of course, is directly juxtaposed with Mr. Burling, and, in some cases, even with Gerald, who mimics the behaviour of Burling. We can see Gerald's challenging nature come out when he states, "Fortunately, it isn't left to you, is it?" Here we can see through his brusque tone that he tries to put the inspector in his place. The inspector again remains calm, impervious to all of these attempts to irritate or unnerve him. He replies, "No, it isn't, but some things are left to me. Inquiries of this sort, for instance," constantly reminding the Burlings and Gerald of his role there and his duty. Possibly serving to further emphasise the fact that the Burlings do not do their duty, that they avoid their responsibility, unlike the inspector with his socialist beliefs, who is preoccupied with this theme. Then the stage directions tell us, "Enter Sheila, who looks as if she's been crying." Here we can see through these stage directions that Sheila is genuinely upset, suggesting her remorse at her involvement in Eva's situation. The inspector responds with, "Well, Miss Burling." Sheila, coming in and closing the door, "You knew it was me all the time, didn't you?" Here again we can see that she is an incredibly perceptive, observant character. The inspector replies, "I had an idea it might be, from something the girl herself wrote." Again we can see his omniscience, the fact that he seems to know quite a lot about this situation. Sheila very honestly tells the inspector, "I've told my father. He didn't seem to think it amounted to much, but I felt rotten about it at the time, and now I feel a lot worse." Did it make much difference to her? Here we can see two things. One, we're reinforced or reminded of Burling's nature, the fact that he is incredibly selfish and incredibly shallow, constantly trying to keep his family out of scandal, despite the fact that it might not always be the right thing to do. We can also see, however, Sheila's obvious regret or remorse. "But I felt rotten about it at the time, and now I feel a lot worse." Whilst this does emphasise her remorse, we can see that it's still quite a selfish thing. She is concerned about her feelings and how it makes her feel, not about the impact that it had on Eva. However, her question, "Did it make much difference to her?" does lessen the blow and make her seem slightly less selfish. The inspector, in a much softer than before tone, replies with, "Yes, I'm afraid it did." His reaction is important here. Rather than the blunt and rather grotesque imagery from before, we can see him softening, possibly because she has softened and because she has been so honest with him. It was the last real steady job she had. When she lost it, for no reason that she could discover, she decided she might as well try another kind of life. Yet again we see an allusion or a euphemism to prostitution. Sheila replies miserably, "So I'm really responsible?" The stage directions miserably show her genuine remorse, and the alliteration in really responsible is also important as it emphasises the fact that she is the first person to openly take responsibility for her actions. The inspector, however, responds with, "No, not entirely. A good deal happened to her after that, but you're partly to blame, just as your father is." Here we can see that there are a lot of people involved, hinting at the link, the idea of social responsibility, that everybody is connected to everybody else somehow, further emphasising the fact that the inspector could be a mouthpiece for Priestley's own socialist beliefs. It's interesting to note that Sheila rather honestly admits her own involvement in the story without any prompting, whereas despite the fact that it has been made clear Burling's involvement, he still refuses to accept it. According to the stage directions, Sheila is distressed. I went to the manager at Millwards and I told him that if they didn't get rid of that girl, I'd never go near the place again, and I'd persuade Mother to close our account with them. Here we can see through the stage directions that she is annoyed by her own actions upon reflection. We can also see, however, through her attitude and what she does, that she is a petulant, selfish, spoiled girl, used to getting everything she wants. The inspector questions, "And why did you do that?" Sheila responds, "Because I was in a furious temper," again emphasising the fact that she is petulant, selfish, and childish, despite the fact that she is in her 20s. The inspector again very calmly asks, "And what had this girl done to make you lose your temper?" "When I was looking at myself in the mirror, I caught sight of her smiling at the assistant, and I was furious with her. I'd been in a bad temper anyhow." Again, this emphasises the fact that she has childlike and immature traits. She is spoiled and belligerent. The inspector again calmly questions, "And was it the girl's fault?" All of his questions, his repeated questioning of Sheila, all serve to lead her into admitting her own guilt. Then we can see Sheila saying, "No, not really. It was my own fault." Then she suddenly, to Gerald, says, "All right, Gerald, you needn't look at me like that. At least I'm trying to tell the truth. I expect you've done things you're ashamed of too." Here we can see the tension between Gerald and Sheila, suggesting that not all is right with their relationship. We can also see her genuine guilt or remorse and her embarrassment at how petty she has been. Gerald is surprised. "Well, I never said I hadn't. I don't see why." But the inspector cuts in, "Never mind about that. You can settle that between you afterwards." And then to Sheila, what happened? Here we can see that Sheila candidly admits her responsibility, but we also see the importance of time to the inspector. This further emphasises the fact that Priestley possibly uses the inspector as a device to move the plot along. Sheila again very candidly explains to the inspector what exactly happened. "I'd gone in to try something on. It was an idea of my own. Mother had been against it, and so had the assistant, but I insisted. As soon as I tried it on, I knew they'd been right. It just didn't suit me at all." Here we can see through the "but I insisted" that she is an incredibly petulant person. We can also see, however, that she does desire independence and responsibility, suggesting that she will be more progressive later on.